The morning sun cast long shadows across the mining colony of New Haven when the first alien ships appeared in the sky. Lieutenant Jake Morrison was drinking coffee in the command center when the alarms started screaming. He dropped his cup and ran to the window. 3 massive ships hung in the air like dark clouds, each one bigger than the entire colony. "All units to battle stations," Jake spoke into his radio. His voice stayed calm, even though his heart was racing. "This is not a drill." The 12 colonial Marines under his command moved fast. They had trained for this day, but never really believed it would come. Sergeant Lisa Carter grabbed her equipment bag and ran toward the mining equipment storage. Corporal Danny Rodriguez headed for the maintenance tunnels. Private Amy Johnson took her rifle and climbed to the highest tower she could find. The alien ships opened fire without warning. Blue energy beams cut through buildings like hot knives through butter. The colony's shields held for maybe 10 seconds before they failed completely. Jake watched the civilian evacuation ships lift off just as the first alien soldiers dropped from the sky. The Zephyrians looked like walking nightmares. They stood 8 feet tall with gray skin and 4 arms. Each. One wore armor that glowed with energy fields. Their weapons fired plasma bolts that could punch through concrete walls. They moved in perfect formation, like they had done this 1,000 times before. Jake counted at least 300 of them. His 12 Marines faced impossible odds. Any normal military unit would surrender or die trying to fight fair. But Jake, Morrison had not joined the Colonial Marines to fight fair. "Carter, how long do you need?" he asked into his radio. "Give me 20 minutes with the mining charges," Lisa replied. Her voice came through explosions and weapon fire. "Rodriguez, can you get them confused in the tunnels?" "Already working on it, sir. These aliens don't know about our maintenance system." Jake smiled for the first time since the attack began. The Zephyrians had made their first mistake. They thought humans would fight like every other species they had conquered, stand in lines, trade shots, and surrender when things got bad. The aliens advanced through the main street in perfect order. Their energy shields deflected the few shots that came their way. Commander Vexitao led from the front, confident that this would be over in minutes. Then the ground exploded under their feet. Lisa had rigged mining charges throughout the colony's underground systems. When she triggered them, entire sections of street collapsed. 20 Zephyrian soldiers fell into holes filled with broken pipes and twisted metal. Their perfect formation became chaos in seconds. Amy Johnson started shooting from her tower position. She had modified her rifle to fire, armor-piercing rounds. Each shot found its mark in the gaps between alien armor plates. Zephyrian officers dropped one after another. Without their commanders, the alien soldiers started making mistakes. Danny Rodriguez used the tunnel system like a spider uses its web. He would pop up behind alien units, throw grenades, and disappear before they could react. The Zephyrians tried to follow him underground, but got lost in passages that twisted and turned like a maze. Jake and his remaining Marines hit the aliens from 3 sides at once. They used the colony's buildings as cover and moved constantly. Every time the Zephyrians thought they had cornered the humans, they found empty spaces and more traps. The aliens had better weapons and armor, but they fought like they were still on parade grounds. They expected their enemies to stand still and trade shots fairly. When the humans refused to cooperate, the Zephyrian battle plan fell apart. Commander Vextal found himself commanding a force that was scared and confused. His soldiers reported humans appearing and disappearing like ghosts. They claimed the humans could be in 3 places at once. Some of his officers swore they had killed the same human multiple times. "How many humans are we fighting?" he asked his aide. "Intelligence reports 12, sir." Vextal looked at the burning colony around him. Half his force was dead or wounded. The rest jumped at shadows and fired at empty buildings. These 12 humans had turned his overwhelming victory into a nightmare. "Call for reinforcements," he ordered. "Sir, we have 300 soldiers against 12 humans." Call for reinforcements now. Jake Morrison heard the enemy radio chatter through captured equipment. He understood enough Zephyrian to know they were scared. Good. Scared enemies made more mistakes. Lisa, can you rig the water treatment plant? Already done, sir. When they get close, it will make a very big boom. Amy, how many officers have you counted? 17 down, maybe 6 left. They stopped wearing rank insignia an hour ago. Jake nodded. The aliens were learning to fear human tactics, but they were learning too slow. By the time they adapted, his people would have new tricks ready. The battle continued for 6 hours. The Zephyrians had overwhelming firepower, but they could not use it effectively. Every time they concentrated their forces, explosions would scatter them. Every time they tried to advance, snipers would pick off their leaders. Every time they thought they understood human tactics, the humans would do something completely different. When reinforcements finally arrived, they found Commander Vextal commanding a broken force. His soldiers flinched at every sound. They fired at movements that turned out to be shadows. Some had stopped following orders altogether. What happened here? The reinforcement commander asked. Vextal looked at the smoking ruins of what should have been an easy victory. We found out that humans do not fight like anyone else in the galaxy. The human Marines had disappeared into the wilderness, taking their wounded with them. They left behind a colony in ruins and an alien force that would never be the same. In the days that followed, stories of the battle spread through the Zephyrian military. Stories of humans who fought like demons and disappeared like smoke. Commander. Vextal filed his report with shaking hands. He recommended that High Command develop new tactics before engaging humans again. He also recommended that they warn other species in their alliance about what they had learned. Humans were dangerous in ways that no military manual had ever described. Far from the battlefield, Jake Morrison and his surviving Marines made camp in the forest. They had lost 4 good soldiers, but they had sent a message to the galaxy. Earth's children would not go quietly into the night. They would fight with everything they had, and they would make their enemies pay for every inch of ground. The aliens wanted a war, and humans would give them one they would never forget. 3 months after New Haven, Captain Rick Davis stood in the briefing room of the stealth ship UHS Midnight. The holographic display showed a planet covered in gray metal structures. Kepler 442b was the heart of Zephyrian military operations in this sector of space. Intelligence reports 2,000 alien soldiers on that base, Davis told his team. They coordinate all attacks on human colonies from there. Our job is to get inside, learn everything we can, and get out alive. Sergeant Kate Williams checked her demolition equipment one more time. She had enough explosives to level a city block, but that was not the plan. How long do we have on the ground? As long as it takes, Davis replied. Command wants to know how these aliens think and fight. The only way to learn that is to watch them up close. The team consisted of 5 people. Besides Davis and Williams, there was Corporal Alex Turner, who handled communications, Corporal Nina Ross, who served as medic and intelligence recorder, and Private Sam Mitchell, who could hit targets at impossible distances. They inserted during a meteor shower that hid their small landing craft. The ship's stealth systems worked perfectly. No alarms sounded as they touched down in a rocky area 10 miles from the main base. For 2 weeks, they watched and learned. The Zephyrian base was huge, but poorly designed for defense against infiltration. The aliens built their security around the idea that enemies would attack with large forces and advanced technology. They never considered that 5 humans with basic equipment could be a threat. Turner intercepted their communications and learned their patrol schedules. Ross documented their command structure and decision-making processes. Mitchell mapped every guard position and identified weak spots in their defenses. Williams studied their weapons and equipment, looking for ways to turn alien technology against itself. Davis coordinated everything and started to see patterns. The Zephyrians were excellent. Soldiers when everything went according to plan. They followed orders perfectly and used their superior weapons effectively. But when something unexpected happened, they became confused and slow to adapt. On the 15th day, everything went wrong. A routine patrol stumbled across their hidden camp. Turner killed the patrol quickly and quietly, but not before one alien had sent a distress signal. Within an hour, the entire base was searching for them. 2,000 Zephyrian soldiers spread out in a perfect grid pattern, checking every rock and cave in the area. Their plan was simple and logical. With enough soldiers and systematic searching, they would find the humans eventually. Davis made a decision that would become legend in military circles. Instead of running, they would attack. "They think we are trying to escape," he told his team. "They have organized their entire force around catching 5 humans who want to get away. Let us show them what happens when 5 humans want to stay and fight." The team split up but stayed in radio contact. Williams headed for the base's ammunition storage. Mitchell found a position that overlooked the main command center. Turner went to the communications hub. Ross moved to a spot where she could record everything that happened. The first explosion came at midnight. Williams had turned the Zephyrians' own mining charges into a trap that destroyed their weapons depot. The blast lit up the night sky and sent ammunition flying in every direction. Alien soldiers dove for cover as their own bullets and energy cells exploded around them. Before the echoes died away, Mitchell started shooting. From 2 miles away, he put precision shots through the command center windows. Zephyrian officers fell one after another. The aliens had never faced sniper fire at such extreme range with such accuracy. Turner took over their communication system and started sending false orders. He told units to move to positions where Williams had planted more explosives. He ordered search teams to abandon their sectors and chase shadows. He made the base commander think he was under attack by a full battalion instead of 5 people. The psychological effect was immediate and devastating. Zephyrian soldiers started reporting humans everywhere. They fired at their own people in the darkness. They abandoned secure positions to chase reports of enemy movement that Turner had fabricated. Davis moved through the chaos like a ghost, using captured alien equipment and stolen uniforms. He appeared in secure areas that should have been impossible to reach. He left evidence of human presence in command bunkers and classified areas. To the aliens, it seemed like humans could walk through walls. By dawn, the base was in complete chaos. Dead officers lay scattered around the command center. Explosions had destroyed critical equipment. Soldiers fired at shadows and jumped at every sound. The systematic search for 5 humans had become a nightmare of confusion and friendly fire. Ross documented everything from her hidden position. She recorded how the aliens reacted to unexpected tactics. She noted how their rigid command structure collapsed when key officers were removed. Most importantly, she saw how psychological pressure affected their decision-making. The Zephyrians were not cowards, but they were unprepared for an enemy that refused to follow the rules of civilized warfare. They expected battles to have clear objectives and predictable tactics. When humans treated the entire base as a weapon to be turned against itself, the alien military system could not cope. On the 2nd day, the base commander made a critical mistake. Desperate to restore order, he pulled soldiers from perimeter defense to search inside the base. This gave the human team exactly what they needed. Williams rigged the main power plant with explosives that would not destroy it but would create spectacular failures throughout the base. Mitchell eliminated the remaining officers who might have been able to coordinate a response. Turner used the chaos to download massive amounts of intelligence data from their computer systems. Davis appeared in the main command bunker during a staff meeting. He did not come to fight but to deliver a message. "You are looking for 5 humans," he told the terrified alien officers. "We are right here. We have been inside your base for weeks. We know everything about your operations, your plans, and your weaknesses. Tell your superiors that humans are not like other enemies. We do not fight fair, and we do not give up." Then he disappeared back into the chaos, leaving the alien commanders to wonder how he had gotten past hundreds of guards and multiple security systems. The team extracted on the third night, slipping away while the base was still searching for an army that did not exist. They left behind a Zephyrian installation that would take months to rebuild and an alien force that would never trust their own security again. The intelligence they gathered changed everything. Ross's recordings showed that human tactics created a kind of psychological warfare that alien militaries had never encountered. The rigid thinking that made aliens effective in conventional battles became a weakness when facing human adaptability. When Davis filed his report, he included a recommendation that became doctrine for all human special forces. Do not fight aliens on their terms. Create conditions where their strengths become weaknesses and their weaknesses become fatal flaws. The Zephyrian base commander eventually reported to his superiors that 5 humans had destroyed a major military installation through methods that defied all established tactical doctrine. His report was filed away and forgotten, but the stories told by survivors spread through the alien military like wildfire. Humans were not just dangerous fighters. They were something completely new in galactic warfare. They fought with a combination of intelligence, creativity, and ruthless determination that no alien species had ever developed. The hunt for 5 humans had become a lesson that would reshape how aliens thought about warfare. Some enemies could be defeated with superior numbers and technology, but humans required entirely different strategies, and many alien commanders were starting to wonder if such strategies even existed. Admiral Helen Brooks read the intelligence reports from Captain Davis's mission for the 3rd time. Each reading revealed new details about how alien minds worked under pressure. The psychological profiles painted a clear picture. Humanity's greatest weapon was not technology, but the fear they created in alien military thinking. Brooks called her staff meeting in the secure briefing room of the flagship UHS Liberty. Around the table sat the best military minds humanity had produced. She placed the reports in front of them and waited for their reactions. "They fight like machines," Colonel Tim Hayes said after reviewing the data. "Perfect discipline and superior equipment, but no ability to adapt when plans go wrong. More than that," Dr. Elena Vasquez added. The xenopsychologist had studied alien behavior patterns for years. Their entire military culture is based on overwhelming force and technological superiority. They have never developed the individual initiative that makes human soldiers effective. Brooks nodded. "Then we give them something their training never prepared them for. We create situations where their strengths become weaknesses." Operation Mindbreak began 6 weeks later. Brooks assembled an elite unit called the Ghost Battalion under Colonel Hayes's command. Unlike traditional military units, the Ghost Battalion specialized in psychological warfare and impossible tactics. Major Susan Clark led the infiltration teams. Her people could appear in locations that should have been unreachable. Captain Joe Martinez commanded precision strike units that eliminated key targets without engaging main forces. Lieutenant Commander Beth Taylor developed tactics that made small human forces appear much larger through careful use of technology and misdirection. Their first target was the Krillian Confederacy. The Krillians were logical, hive-minded beings who had joined the anti-human alliance. Their military operations followed mathematical models that had never failed against any other species. The Ghost Battalion hit them with a campaign that defied all logic. Clark's teams conducted simultaneous raids on Krillian installations that were thousands of miles apart. According to Krillian calculations, humans would need teleportation technology to coordinate such attacks. When they could not detect any advanced transportation systems, their analysis computers started producing error messages. Martinez's precision units eliminated Krillian commanders with surgical strikes that seemed to come from nowhere. Krillian officers would be found dead in secured bunkers with no signs of forced entry. Security recordings showed nothing but empty corridors, yet the deaths were clearly the work of human weapons. Taylor's misdirection teams used simple technology in creative ways. They projected holographic images that made 50 humans look like 500. They used sound systems to create the impression of massive troop movements where only small teams existed. They planted evidence that suggested human forces far larger than intelligence reports indicated. The psychological impact was devastating. Krillian military computers could not process tactical data that made no logical sense. Their hive mind communication system became filled with contradictory reports that crashed their decision-making networks. Dr. Vasquez embedded with the Ghost Battalion to document alien reactions. What she discovered changed human understanding of galactic warfare. Most alien species had achieved military dominance through single advantages, overwhelming numbers, superior technology, or perfect coordination. None of them had faced an enemy that combined individual creativity with group coordination. Human soldiers could operate independently while maintaining unit cohesion. They could adapt tactics in real time without losing strategic focus. Most importantly, they could turn any disadvantage into an advantage through creative thinking. The Krillian campaign lasted 3 months. By the end, entire Krillian military units were refusing orders to engage human forces. Their logical analysis systems had concluded that humans possessed supernatural abilities that could not be countered through conventional means. Colonel Hayes received surrender offers from Krillian commanders who had never lost a battle in their previous conquests. They offered to withdraw from all systems with human presence in exchange for guarantees that humans would not pursue them to their homeworlds. They think we can do things that are impossible, Hayes reported to Admiral Brooks. We have not told them any lies. We have simply fought in ways their military doctrine never considered. The success against the Krillians sent shockwaves through the Galactic Alliance. Other alien species started demanding detailed reports about human military capabilities. What they learned made them more frightened, not less. The Shakti Empire sent investigation teams to study human tactics. The Shakti were proud warriors who had built their culture around honorable combat and personal valor. They expected humans to fight with similar principles. Instead, they found evidence of warfare that violated every code of military honor they understood. Humans attacked supply lines instead of engaging enemy forces directly. They targeted command structures rather than fighting rank-and-file soldiers. They used civilian infrastructure as military assets and turned enemy equipment against itself. Major Clark demonstrated this during a raid on a Shakti outpost. Instead of attacking the base directly, her team infiltrated during a supply delivery. They rigged the incoming supplies with explosives and tracking devices. When the supplies were distributed throughout the base, Clark triggered the charges from outside the perimeter. The explosion destroyed the base from within using the Shakti's own logistics system. No human soldier had entered the combat zone, yet the entire installation was reduced to rubble. To the Shakti military mind, this was not warfare, but sorcery. Captain Martinez showed similar creativity against the Vorthan Republic. The Vorthans relied on massive automated defense systems that could stop any conventional attack. Martinez's solution was elegant and terrifying. He turned the defense systems against each other. Using captured access codes and careful electronic warfare, Martinez made the automated defenses identify each other as enemy targets. The humans never fired a shot, but the Vorthan base destroyed itself in an orgy of friendly fire that lasted 6 hours. Lieutenant Commander Taylor perfected the art of making humans appear supernatural. Her teams used simple tricks elevated to high art. Smoke machines created the impression of humans materializing from thin air. Recorded sounds suggested human voices coming from empty spaces. Carefully placed evidence made it seem like humans could predict alien movements with perfect accuracy. The cumulative effect was psychological warfare on a scale never before seen in galactic history. Alien military units started reporting human capabilities that sounded like magic. Stories spread of humans who could be killed multiple times yet continue fighting. soldiers who could appear and disappear at will, and commanders who seemed to know alien plans before they were made. Dr. Vasquez documented how these stories affected alien military morale. Fear spread through enemy ranks faster than any weapon could destroy them. Alien soldiers began refusing missions against human targets. Some units mutinied rather than face forces they believed possessed supernatural powers. The Ghost Battalion had achieved something unprecedented in galactic warfare. They had won battles without fighting them, conquered enemies without occupying their territory, and created a reputation that was more powerful than any army. Admiral Brooks reviewed the campaign results with satisfaction. Human casualties had been minimal, but the psychological impact on alien forces was total. The galaxy's most powerful militaries were now afraid to engage forces they outnumbered by thousands to one. "We have given them a new kind of war," she told her staff. "One where their advantages mean nothing, and our creativity means everything." The alien alliance that had seemed so powerful just months before was beginning to crack. Species that had never known defeat were now seeking ways to avoid fighting humans altogether. The reputation of human special forces was becoming the most effective weapon in humanity's arsenal. But Admiral Brooks knew this was only the beginning. Word was spreading throughout the galaxy about human military capabilities. Soon, every species would have to decide whether to fight humanity or find some other solution to the growing human presence in space. The psychological warfare campaign had succeeded beyond all expectations. Now came the real test: whether fear could be transformed into lasting peace. Commander Ryan Bell stood on the bridge of the UHS Defiant when the proximity alarm started screaming. His deep space patrol had been routine until now. 3 alien fleets had dropped out of hyperspace around his single ship. The tactical display showed overwhelming numbers: 47 alien vessels against his 1 patrol cruiser. "Communications, open a channel to the lead ship," Bell ordered. His crew looked nervous, but Bell had read the intelligence reports from the Ghost Battalion. Campaigns. It was time to test whether reputation could be a weapon. "Channel open, sir." Bell kept his voice calm and professional. "This is the human starship Defiant. You have 60 seconds to disperse before we demonstrate why smart militaries avoid confronting human forces." The bridge fell silent. Bell's tactical officer stared at him like he had lost his mind. 47 ships against 1 was not a battle, but an execution. Yet Bell waited, counting down the seconds in his head. At 58 seconds, the alien fleets turned and jumped back into hyperspace. "Sir," his tactical officer whispered, "they just ran from a single ship." Bell smiled. "No, they ran from what they think a single human ship can do to them." The story spread through both human and alien communication networks within days. Human patrol ship had faced impossible odds and won without firing a single shot. To human forces, it was proof that psychological warfare worked. To alien militaries, it was confirmation of their worst fears about human capabilities. Captain Laura Kim discovered the extent of human reputation during her diplomatic mission to the Centauri trade station. She was there to negotiate supply agreements with neutral alien species. Instead, she found herself in the middle of what could only be described as a galactic panic. The station's security chief, a 4-armed Deltarian named Crix, approached her with obvious nervousness. "Captain Kim, we need to discuss the human military presence on this station." Laura looked around the docking bay. Besides her small diplomatic ship, there were no human vessels present. "What military presence?" "You are here," Crix replied. "Our intelligence reports indicate that all human military personnel are trained in special warfare techniques. The merchant captains are demanding extra security measures." Laura realized that alien intelligence services could not distinguish between human diplomats and special forces. To them, every human was potentially a 1-person army capable of impossible feats. She learned more disturbing information in the station's cantina. Alien traders spoke in whispers about human military capabilities. The stories had grown far beyond anything that had actually happened. A Vorthan freight captain claimed that humans could phase through solid matter. A Krillian merchant swore that human soldiers were actually undead warriors who could not be killed permanently. A Shakti warrior insisted that humans possessed mind control abilities that could turn alien weapons against their own forces. These stories are getting out of hand, Laura reported to Admiral Brooks. They think we have supernatural powers. Good, Brooks replied. Fear is the only thing keeping some of these species from attacking our colonies. Let them believe what they want to believe. Intelligence Officer Monica Price was tasked with documenting how human reputation was affecting alien military planning. Her reports painted a picture of galactic militaries in crisis. The Zephyrian Empire had quietly withdrawn from 3-star systems rather than risk confronting human expansion. Their military advisors recommended against any engagement with human forces unless they possessed at least 10-to-1 numerical superiority and complete control of orbital space. The Krillian Confederacy had gone further. They issued formal military doctrine stating that human forces were tactically unpredictable entities that required specialized countermeasures not yet developed. Until such countermeasures existed, Krillian units were forbidden from engaging humans under any circumstances. The Shakti Empire made the most dramatic decision. They declared humans unworthy opponents and withdrew from all systems with human presence. Their military philosophy could not accommodate enemies who refused to fight with honor and seemed to thrive on impossible odds. Price's most disturbing discovery came from intercepted communications between alien military commanders. They were sharing stories and trying to develop theoretical countermeasures against human tactics. General Thekvar of the Zephyrian military had compiled a list of known human capabilities that read like fantasy fiction. According to alien intelligence, humans could turn invisible at will, survive direct hits from weapons that should vaporize them, and coordinate attacks across impossible distances without detectable communication. The Krillian military computer systems had created tactical models for fighting humans that consistently crashed their analysis programs. The mathematical equations could not account for human unpredictability and adaptability. Most telling was a communication between Shakti military leaders discussing whether humans were actually a biological species or some kind of advanced war, machines created by an unknown civilization. No natural evolution could produce soldiers with such capabilities, one Shakti general argued. They must be artificial constructs designed specifically for warfare. If they are machines, where are their creators? Another replied. And why do they show emotional responses in combat? Perhaps emotion is part of their programming, the first suggested. A way to make them more unpredictable in battle. The conversation continued for hours without reaching any conclusions. Alien military minds simply could not comprehend how humans had developed their tactical capabilities through natural evolution and training. Dr. Elena Vasquez analyzed these communications and provided insight into alien psychology that helped explain human success. Most intelligent species had achieved dominance through single evolutionary advantages. The Krillians developed perfect logical thinking. The Shakti became ultimate individual warriors. The Zephyrians mastered technology and coordination. Humans were generalists who had developed multiple capabilities through evolutionary pressure. They combined logical thinking with emotional intuition, individual initiative with group coordination, and technological skill with physical prowess. This combination was unprecedented in galactic history. To alien minds, humans seem impossible, Vasquez explained to Admiral Brooks. They expect species to specialize in single areas of excellence. A species that excels in multiple areas violates their understanding of evolutionary development. The reputation effect reached its peak when the hegemony of worlds representing over 30 alien species issued a formal military advisory about human forces. The document was classified at the highest levels, but was quickly leaked to intelligence networks throughout the galaxy. The advisory recommended that any military engagement with humans be avoided unless absolutely necessary. It suggested that human military capabilities included reality manipulation technology and probability distortion fields that made conventional tactical analysis impossible. The document included specific recommendations: never corner human forces, never assume human capabilities are limited by apparent resources, and never underestimate human tactical creativity even when facing overwhelming odds. Most importantly, the advisory recommended that any alien commander facing humans should expect the impossible and prepare for tactics that defy military logic. Commander Bell found himself receiving communications from alien military attachés asking for meetings to discuss human tactical philosophy. They wanted to understand how humans thought about warfare so they could develop countermeasures. Bell's response became standard policy for all human military personnel. Human tactical philosophy is simple. We adapt to circumstances, use available resources creatively, and never give up. If you want to avoid fighting us, the solution is equally simple. Do not threaten human colonies or civilians. The psychological warfare campaign had succeeded beyond all expectations. Alien militaries that had once seemed invincible were now afraid to engage human forces regardless of numerical advantages. Stories of human capabilities had grown into legends that were more powerful than any actual weapon, but success brought new challenges. Fear could prevent immediate conflicts, but it could also drive desperate actions. Some alien species were beginning to discuss whether humans represented an existential threat that required drastic measures to counter. The reputation that had protected human colonies was also making humanity a target for species that believed the only solution to the human problem was complete elimination. Admiral Brooks knew that psychological warfare had bought them time, but the real test was yet to come. 1 year after the Battle of New Haven, Admiral Helen Brooks received a message that changed everything. The Coalition of Civilized Worlds, representing 43 alien species, requested a formal peace summit. They wanted to negotiate a permanent end to hostilities with humanity. Brooks read the message twice to make sure she understood correctly. The most powerful military alliance in known space was asking for peace with a species they had tried to exterminate just months before. "They are not surrendering," she told General Patrick Moore as they prepared for the summit. "They are trying to find a way to coexist with something they cannot defeat." The summit took place on Harmony Point, a neutral space station that had hosted diplomatic meetings for centuries. When the human delegation arrived, they found representatives from dozens of alien species waiting for them. The atmosphere was tense but respectful. General Moore led the human delegation with just 12 officers, including several veterans of the operations that had terrified alien militaries. Colonel Tim Hayes was there, along with Major Susan Clark, Captain Joe Martinez, and Dr. Elena Vasquez. The small size of the human delegation sent its own message. Humans did not need large numbers to be effective. The alien delegates had prepared extensive presentations about human military capabilities. They spoke of humans as if describing supernatural beings rather than biological creatures. Delegate Vexcar of the Zephyrian Empire presented a detailed analysis of human tactical operations. Human forces demonstrate capabilities that defy conventional military analysis, he stated. They appear to possess unlimited adaptability and tactical creativity that makes them effectively invincible in asymmetric warfare scenarios. The Krillian representative Hive speaker Zril Mon provided mathematical models that consistently failed when applied to human behavior. "Our analysis systems cannot predict human tactical decisions," it reported. Human unpredictability appears to be a weaponized evolutionary trait. Most dramatic was the testimony from Shakti war leader Thalvar. The proud warrior species had never retreated from any conflict in their recorded history. "Humans do not fight with honor," he declared. "They fight to win by any means necessary. This makes them more dangerous than any enemy we have ever faced." Dr. Vasquez listened to these presentations with growing amazement. The aliens had convinced themselves that humans possessed abilities far beyond reality. They described human soldiers as being capable of existing in multiple locations simultaneously, surviving fatal injuries through unknown technology, and predicting enemy actions with supernatural accuracy. "They fight like the universe itself is their weapon," one alien military analyst reported. "Nothing is too small or too common for humans to turn into a military advantage." General Moore finally stood to address the assembly. The room fell silent, as 43 species waited to hear from the representative of the galaxy's most feared military force. "You have asked for this summit because you fear us," Moore began. His voice was calm and matter-of-fact. "You have convinced yourselves that humans possess supernatural abilities. You believe we fight with powers beyond normal understanding." The alien delegates shifted nervously in their seats. Moore continued. "The truth is simpler and more terrifying than your theories. Humans are persistence hunters who evolved from prey animals. For millions of years, we survived by being smarter, more adaptable, and more determined than the predators that hunted us." He gestured to Colonel Hayes. "Every human carries the genetic memory of being hunted. When you threaten us, you activate instincts that have been refined by millions of years of evolutionary pressure." Dr. Vasquez presented her final report to the assembly. Her analysis explained human military capabilities in terms that alien minds could finally understand. "Humans developed intelligence not from a position of strength but from necessity," she explained. "You achieved dominance through overwhelming advantages. Humans learned to survive without any advantages at all." She displayed brain scans showing how human minds process tactical information. "Human soldiers can hold multiple contingency plans simultaneously while adapting in real time to changing conditions. This appears supernatural to species that developed linear thinking patterns." The revelation stunned the alien delegates. They had assumed that human capabilities resulted from advanced technology or genetic engineering. The reality was both simpler and more disturbing. Humans were naturally evolved for exactly the kind of warfare that alien militaries could not counter. Delegate Thekman of the Hegemony of Worlds asked the question that every species was thinking. "If humans are this dangerous naturally, what happens as they continue to develop? What happens when they apply their tactical creativity to advanced technology?" General Moore's answer became the foundation of the peace treaty. "That depends entirely on whether you give us reasons to consider you threats or allies." The negotiations that followed were unlike any in galactic history. Instead of defeated powers surrendering to victors, this was a gathering of military powers acknowledging that one species represented a form of warfare they could not counter. The final treaty established several key principles. Human colonies would be granted extensive autonomous zones that alien militaries agreed never to enter. Any attack on human civilians would be considered an act of war against a species proven capable of turning any disadvantage into a weapon. Most importantly, the treaty included formal recognition that humans represented a new form of warfare that required completely different diplomatic approaches. Traditional military solutions would not work against human tactical creativity and adaptability. Colonel Hayes found himself appointed as military liaison to the galactic community. His job was to help alien militaries understand human tactical thinking well enough to avoid accidental conflicts. "The key to coexisting with humans is simple," he told a gathering of alien military commanders. "Do not threaten human civilians, do not corner human forces, and do not assume that technological or numerical advantages guarantee victory." The peace treaty was signed in a ceremony attended by representatives from across the galaxy. For the first time in galactic history, a single species had achieved security not through conquest, but through reputation. Major Jake Morrison, promoted after his heroic defense of New Haven, found himself training a new generation of human special forces. He told his students about the responsibility that came with their reputation. "We have won something more valuable than territory or resources," he explained. "We have won the respect that comes from being unpredictably dangerous when threatened. That reputation protects every human colony in space." The final test of the new galactic order came when an unknown alien species called the Ravagers attacked a human research station. Within hours, 3 different alien militaries sent offers of assistance to help defend against the threat. "We cannot allow the Ravagers to succeed," explained Zephyrian Commander Velthar. "If they defeat human forces, they might think they can defeat anyone." The galaxy had learned a fundamental lesson. Some enemies are too dangerous to allow to be weakened by others. Human military capabilities had become a stabilizing force that prevented any single species from achieving the kind of dominance that led to galactic wars. Dr. Vasquez published her final research on human tactical psychology. Her conclusion reshaped galactic understanding of warfare. Humans represent evolutionary warfare development. They are what happens when intelligence evolves under constant threat rather than from advantage. The new galactic order was built on a simple principle. Humans were not just another species with superior technology or numbers. They were something completely different, and that difference made them the most effective deterrent against galactic warfare that had ever existed. Alien military academies across the galaxy added a new required course to their curriculum: human. Tactical analysis and avoidance strategies. The textbook's opening line became universal wisdom among galactic militaries. "Never corner a human. They are most dangerous when they have nothing left to lose." The peace treaty had transformed fear into respect and conflict into cooperation. Humanity had achieved something unprecedented in galactic history: security through being too dangerous to fight rather than too powerful to defeat. And in the quiet moments between stars, when alien commanders discussed the lessons learned from first contact with humanity, they shared a common understanding. The galaxy was safer because humans existed, and more dangerous for anyone foolish enough to threaten them.